right, good evening and many thanks for joining us tonight, the 20th of July, the year 2023. Indeed, we have much and more lined up for you in field of politics. Remember, this is the day 2 of AUMA la Umoja. 3 days demonstrations. Of course, we have seen some running battles between the police and demonstrators, and of course, normalcy returning to many parts of the country. Well, in other stories, of course, that will be taking a key look at it. Of course, we have some statistics. Imagine this, 16 to 58% of young women and, of course, of young girls and women have gone some sort of cyberbullying and crime. We'll be talking about, the effect of cyberbullying to our women, especially at a time that, the technology and social media is growing fast. That discussion, of course, I will be joined by my guest, that is Whitney Nyambura, that is the Rafiki Mental 360. Then Fred Ochieng, Program Assistant at Mental 360. These are my guests who will be here with me here in studio, just to take account of what is happening and what is the best way forward to move, as far as this is concerned. Remember, such cases contribute to a larger percent to issues to do with mental health, and sometimes victims end up committing suicide. But we want to find the best way forward and how to solve this. That and many more will be up after our highlights today.
Tonight, detention without trial. AUMA faults government for unlawful arrest and detention of opposition leaders as Babu Owino appears before Mlimani Law Court. Leaving nothing to chance. Minimal protest in day 2 of 3 days demonstrations as heavy police contingent keeps vigil. Also tonight, not under my watch. Ruto comes out gun blazing at opposition for sabotaging the economy in the name of demonstrations. Plus, empty classroom and locked gates. Learners stay away from school despite government announcing resumption of learning activities.
My co-captain tonight is Samuel Kelo. My name is AUMA Evans. Remember, we invite you to send your feedback and comment on our broadcast, and we'll be sure to sample all of your feedback at the tail end of the broadcast. We are live on KUTV, that is YouTube, and you can tweet us at KUTV_Kenya at AUMA Evans. Remember to use the hashtag Primetime News. Now, Primetime News begins right now. Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino has this evening been arraigned at Mlimani Law Court here in Nairobi after close to 2 days of back and forth between his family and the police over the legislators' whereabouts. Babu Owino's arraignment just closed a few minutes ago following health concerns raised by Babu Owino's lawyer. He is to be escorted to hospital, while the other 6 will spend the night at Kileleshwa Police Station pending the court's ruling tomorrow.
The catalogue of detained opposition politicians keeps accumulating in the wake of the government's pledge to comprehensively thwart any spark of anti-government protests. Babu Owino's unfortunate encounter with the state is trailed back to Tuesday earlier this week at around 10 p.m. when the Embakasi MP revealed on his Facebook page that he had been intercepted by police at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. In the dark hours of the night, the MP's convoy then took the route to Mwea Wanguru Police Station, where he spent the night. Fast forward to Wednesday, after learning of his arrest, Babu Owino's family then launched a manhunt, moving from police station to another, before finally stumbling on the information that the legislator had been held at Wanguru.
So when we came and asked for him, they were asking, oh, what are you talking about? Babu Owino is not here, blah, blah. But we thank God for the favor, for his favor, because his suitcase, I saw his suitcase and I said that he is indeed here because that is his suitcase. So that is when they said, oh, okay, oops. And they had to agree that he is indeed there. So I have been able to see him. But now the issue is my husband has been detained for over 24 hours.
Sasa sai ndo sasa wakaanza tukikaa hapo kwa waiting, tukaona babu amechungulia kwa hiyo shimo yenye iko hapo juu akituita kwa cell, anatuita na akaniita na jina Phoebe. Hapo ndo nikajua, nikaambia mkewe babu yuko hapa ndani. Sasa ndio wakaenda akamuongelesha, wakakubali aenda mpatie chakula, aenda muone, akampatia chakula.
Section 49 of the Kenyan Bill of Rights stipulates that an arrested person is entitled to a right to information on the reasons of his arrest, access to a legal advocate, a chance to communicate with a loved one as they deem fit, and to be arraigned in court within 24 hours of his arrest. According to the information we hold, all these rights were circumvented as Babu Owino endured his ordeal with the state.
The police has not even provided him with the food. He is starving. They want to shakahola him.
Yes. Which is not right.
Sick. The police want to shakahola Babu Owino. Yes. Why is he not being allowed to access his advocates? Why is he not being allowed to access his family?
He has a right.
He has a right unless we have suspended the constitution.
Reports are also surfacing that former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga was also nabbed in a similar fashion. However, his whereabouts remain unknown.
I also understand that Maina Njenga is also held up here. Maina Njenga was arrested yesterday at his father's residence from Gong. He was driven all the way in the wee hours of the night, in the ungodly hours, to Wanguru police station. What is the justification of you being removed from one jurisdiction to the other?
Kilifi South MP Ken Chonga and Kilifi County Speaker Teddy Mwambire were today arraigned in court, but are set to spend the night in the cold cells of Shimolatewa as they await the court's verdict tomorrow. Mneneweru, KU TV.
Right, thank you very much, Moreno Weru, for that comprehensive reporting. Now on to demonstrations. Running battles between police and protesters have been reduced in areas of Nairobi County today as the third wave of demonstrations staged by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition entered day 2 today. People have today thronged the central business district to go about their daily activities, while cases of running battles between police and protesters were witnessed in parts of Mathare and Kibra. Joseph Case now reports.
Nairobi Central Business District. Normalcy is back on track, contrary to yesterday, as thousands thronged streets to go about their daily activities. Disciplined forces, including police and officers from the National Youth Service, have taken control of the city center, despite there being no protests staged.
Jana kazi ilikuwa baya, juu watu hawakuweza kuingia town. But leo kuko sawa, juu watu wamerudi normal. Kazi mingi zimefunguliwa. So leo tunaweza sema iko at least. Askari walisaidia sana juu hawakuweza kuingia huku ndani.
After touring Nairobi CBD, we took another trip to Mathare, one of the Nairobi outskirts well known for mass action protests. Mathare is one of the places where protests have become rampant since they were first staged by the opposition. Police engaged in minimal running battles with the protesters, although it was not as vigorous as they have been before. For today's protests, however, were not as weighty as yesterday's demonstrations, as the residents tell us.
Leo ikafueni, jana ilikuwa mbaya sana. Hata mungekuwa hapa ndani. Jana ilikuwa mbaya, lakini leo nafueni kidogo.
Kesho inaonekana mambo itakuwa.
Kesho ikirudi chini, maana watoto watakuja shule.
Ini maneno yafanyikanga hapa, mtu kama mimi siwezi furahia. Sababu umejua kama maandamano iko, huwezi fanya kazi. Niko na siku 3 hata bila kufanya kazi. Sasa mimi naomba tu mambo ya maandamano ifanye nini iishe. Raila na Ruto wakae chini waelewane mambo iishe hiyo.
The citizens we spoke to are now calling upon the government and the opposition to reach a consensus in order to spare the country the day-to-day tension.
As mass action demonstrations enter day 2 of the third wave this week, protests are seen to have reduced in several places across the country. Tomorrow marks the final day of the demonstrations for this week. Joseph Kess for KUTV, Mathare, Nairobi.
Still on demonstration. Today being the being the second day of the third wave of anti-government protest, a spot check by KUTV revealed majority of business operations at Nairobi Central Business District officially resumed operation as police officers maintain tight security. Business owners have expressed different opinions regarding the ongoing demonstrations. Our very own Lynette Maina caught up with them and filed the following report.
Despite a special appeal by the AUMA leaders for Kenyans to show up in big numbers for the Day 2 anti-governmental protest, majority of businesses in Nairobi CBD have resumed normal operations. The uncertain mood in the Nairobi CBD has not stopped majority of the business owners from opening their businesses today to at least recover from non-operational losses incurred yesterday. As most Nairobi businessmen chose to ignore a call made by the Azimio la Umoja leaders, Monica, a Thika resident commuting to Nairobi CBD daily to open her business, have applauded the police officers for their efforts in maintaining tight security.
Jana kazi ilikuwa baya juu watu hawakuweza kuingia town, but leo kuko sawa juu watu wamerudi normal, kazi mingi zimefunguliwa. So leo tunaweza sema iko at least. Askari walisaidia sana juu hawakuweza kuingia huku ndani. So ile kidogo tulipata ni juu askari walitusaidia. At least walisimamia biashara, hatukuharibiwa. But sasa iko sawa. Tunaweza washukuru sana. But mimi si support maandamano. Kazi yetu ni ya kila siku.
And being one of the very few traders who opened their businesses yesterday, expressed her hope on the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza leaders reaching an agreement which will in turn provide the business owners with a conducive working environment.
Maandamano sio mbaya, lakini saa njia yenye wanafanya nayo hii hatuwezi ita ni peaceful. Hii si peaceful hata kidogo. Kinyi tulikuwa tunafanya, viongozi wote ni wetu, sawa kaitu chini wasikizane, juu si ndio tunaumia. Unajua ndovu zikipigana nyasi ndio zinaumia. Sasa si ni nyasi, si ndio tunaumia. Wakae tu chini, wakamtua na agreement, tukae peaceful, maisha irudi normal kama kitambo.
One of the business owners has however expressed a different opinion regarding the anti-government protest, claiming that the demonstrators complaining of high cost of living are just expressing their constitutional rights.
I think kila mtu ako na right yake ya ku-protest. It's protesting. Kila mtu ako na right yake ya ku-protest. So I wouldn't say it's bad ama it's good. Yeah, it's a dilemma thing. I support it. I feel kila mtu anafaa kutoa maoni yake. Like I feel kila mtu anafaa kuji-express. Yeah, so it's good. It's not bad. Yeah, but sasa the violence thing ndio inakuwa mbaya. You see, kama watu wataandamana peacefully, that's good, but sekikuwa ni violence, yeah, that's bad.
The impairment of business also affects the government in that the collection of taxes in this protest period have significantly reduced. Speaking from Isiolo County today, President Ruto has highly condemned the protest, claiming that they will only result in worsening the economy of the country.
Wakenya mahali pote, every part of Kenya have said we cannot sabotage our economy using violence and destruction of business and destruction of property. Kenya is the only place we have to call home, and we must protect it by all means.
It is evident that normal business operations have resumed, with the traders hoping that the government and opposition will come up with a solution. Lynette Maina, KUTV, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, in some parts of the country, protests continue while for some it was a business as usual. Protesters engaged police in cat and mouse game in Mathare and Kibra for better part of the day. Dorothy Musyoka reports on a day that a section of Kenyans call upon police to refrain from using force during the protest, even as Mayo plans to carry on with their mass action for third day tomorrow.
As Azimio protest enters its second day today, normalcy and calm has been witnessed in various parts of the country, with the country's capital witnessing pockets of protest in Nairobi's Kibra, Mathare and Imara Daima areas as protesters engaged the police. In Kisumu County, where chaos were witnessed yesterday, the situation in the county remained calm as Kenyans braced themselves for the second day of Azimio protest. Streets in Kisumu also stayed deserted, with most shops remaining closed. In the busy Migori, Kisii and Isbania highway, showed majority of the businesses remained closed, with little movement being witnessed. Migori residents urged the police to avoid excessive use of force during the protest.
Maandamano ya Migori leo, hakuna watu barabarani, biashara zote zimefungwa na maaskari wako chonjo. Na vijana wenye waliwahi hapa asubuhi, maaskari walikuja wakawatawanya.
Naomba polisi wasitupige na risasi. Pia waandamanaji tunawaomba wasirushe mawe kwa polisi, wasivunje mali ya wengine.
Unlike on yesterday's protest in Kisii County that saw protesters on the Kisii-Kilgoris Road lit fires on the streets that brought traffic to a standstill on the Kisii-Kilgoris Highway. Today, business was back to normalcy, with calm being witnessed in the county. Normalcy also returned on the streets of Mombasa on day 2 of the anti-government protest. Yesterday, the Coast region witnessed street protests along Moi Avenue in Mombasa and at Mtwapa that led to the arrest of 10 people as the anti-riot police worked to restore calm. Yesterday, protesters took to the streets in various parts of the country at the start of 3-day demos in support of Azimio la Umoja wa Kenya coalition calls to pressurize the government to address the current runaway cost of living and repeal of the 2023 Finance Act. Dorothy Musyoka, KU TV.
Let's stay on demonstration for a bit. President William Ruto has blasted opposition over the ongoing anti-government demonstrations, which has taken to its second consecutive day today. Ruto, however, claims that the protests have lost popularity as more Kenyans have refrained from demonstration in disregard to Azimio's call, terming protest as economic sabotage. And as our very own Joseph Oyomo reports, Ruto warned that vandalism and violence will not be condoned.
President William Ruto has castigated Azimio leaders over the 3-day weekly demonstrations ongoing in the country, at the same time noting that the protests have lost traction.
Every part of Kenya have said we cannot sabotage our economy using violence and destruction of business and destruction of property. Kenya is the only place we have to call home, and we must protect it by all means. We must protect our democracy.
Ruto expressed gratitude to Kenyans for what he termed as national refrainment from protest, even as Azimio leaders termed the turnout as beyond expectation. Ruto did not cease to slam Azimio flag bearer Raila Odinga over his refusal to cede the results of a long-gone elections and illegally seeking a share of power.
Na sisi tunaambia hao watu, huyu mzee ya maandamano, kama unataka kuwa rais ungoje 2027 ukuja ukutane na huyu rais wetu. Ama mungetaka wapitie njia ya mkato? Mungetaka wapitie njia ya mkato?
In spite of the protests' casualty counts, Ruto commended police and security officers for their tireless work in maintaining order and protecting properties, warning against vandalism and violence in the pretext of protest.
Mimi nataka niwaambie polisi wetu hongera kwa kusimama kidete na kuhakikisha kwamba kuna amani na kuhakikisha kwamba wahalifu wote wanachukuliwa hatua, ndio tuhakikisha kwamba kuna amani Kenya na hakuna vita na mali biashara ya wananchi isiharibike.
Call for peace also dominated the rally as President Ruto urged Kenyans to collectively protect the country against economic sabotage. On his remarks, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua termed Azimio protest as a blackmail.
Hawa waangwana walizokuwa wamezoea mambo ya blackmail, getting through government through blackmail, na wame blackmail watu ya Kenya miaka mingi. The government that will bring down and stop the issue of political blackmail ni serikali ya William Samoei Ruto.
Kenya Kwanza Brigade was addressing the public during a rally in Isiolo. Joseph Oyomo, KUTV.
Still Motors demonstration. Academic programs have been disrupted for the second day after a majority of schools remain closed due to fear of chaos occasioned by the ongoing Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition protests. Schools that were open today had few students, with the parents saying they are afraid of putting their children's life at risk. Here is Salma Swale with more details.
A number of schools remain closed during the second day of the three-day protest, even after the Minister of Education asked school to reopen after closure by the Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki for fear of children's security. Few schools that were opened had a few number of students attending with parents, eliciting fear of risking their children's lives. However, a section of parents who appeared to take their children to school were forced to go back home with their children for fear of their children's security, as instructed by school gatekeepers who are the only people in schools.
Kuna wale walikuwa hapa asubuhi, bila walisikia matangazo watoto wakuje shule. Watoto walikuwa hapa asubuhi saa 12. Tukamwambia hapana, sijaambia report. Sasa nyinyi mrudi nyumbani mpaka kipata report mtaingia tu. Nilikuwa hapa saa 12.
According to a gatekeeper at Vision Academy in Nairobi, the school will remain closed until Monday when the security situation is calm.
Tangu jana hakuna mtoto wetu amekuja hapa kwa sababu ya mambo ya matia gas na wanaweza pata accident kwa njia. Nafikiria mpaka Monday ndio wanaweza rudi.
Despite insecurity escalating today as compared to yesterday, parents did not take their children to school, claiming that the security of their kids at school during protest isn't assured. Stakeholders have also expressed concern that the anti-government protest that kicked off yesterday will disrupt learning in schools, calling on the president and the opposition leader to engage in talks that will save the country. Salma Swale, KUTV.
Right, well, that takes us to our first break here on KUTV Primetime News. Of course, when we come back, we'll be talking more about what to expect, including our interview of the day. See you in a bit.
Kenyatta University will hold its 53rd graduation ceremony on Friday, 21st July 2023 at the main campus along Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The graduation ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV, KU website, Lola app, and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786-335-111 or visit the KU website on www.ku.ac.ke. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
Kutoka kuwa jamii ya kuhamahama na sasa kujumuisha kilimo katika mitindo yao ya maisha. Kwenye toleo la kaunti ya Narok, hii ni Boresha Kilimo, kwani afya bora ni kilimo bora.
Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
The folks are going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Welcome back, and remember you can still talk to us on all of our social media platforms. You can tweet us on Twitter at KUTV_Kenya, at AUMA Evans. Remember to use the hashtag Primetime News. Well, now, violence against women and girls in digital context, it's not a new phenomenon. However, it has rapidly escalated in the shadows of COVID-19 pandemic as women's lives shifted from online for work, education, access to services and social activities. While there continue to be a significant gaps in data, one global report suggests that prevalence ranges from 16 to 58%. That is globally 16 to 58%. Here in Kenya, it is estimated that out of 5, at least 1 is affected, have gone under some sort of, cyber abuse or rather online bullying. Well, this could be resulted by a number of key issues, among them that, this could be as a result of heightened tensions at, women at political. Then we have women in journalism and other factors, underlining factors like transgender, that could result to cyber bullying. Another statistics that is very interesting to take a look at, while all this happens, it is reported that Facebook leads with 74%, while Twitter and Instagram stands at 24% each. Well, the penal law, there is, while all these are put into context, there is a law that regulates the use of, social media in terms of online abuse, and the law that regulates this, that is the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act of 2018, is that provide timely act and effective detection, prevention, investigation, and prosecution of offenders. Well, that is a discussion that we'll be taking with my guest as soon as they, come in. We'll drop them into the discussion as we take a stock of what is happening. Now, let's move on. After a series of protests occasioned by Azimio's anti-government mass action, Kenya's stock market on Wednesday suffered its first blow after losing fortunes of 20 billion investors' wealth, joining the growing list of businesses, among them banks, airlines, and supermarkets that continue to count losses amounting to billions of shillings from the ongoing protest.
Due to the ongoing countrywide protests, local airlines including Safarilink recorded passengers booking dropping by up to 40% in the last few days, with key routes such as Kisumu and Mombasa being widely affected, adding to the low numbers likely to hit Kenya's high season for tourism. According to Safarilink director Alex Avadi, passengers have postponed their travel plans, with many seemingly having to cancel their journeys, especially on routes to Mombasa and Kisumu. Investors at the Nairobi Security Exchange yesterday lost 20.725 billion in investors' wealth on the first of the 3 days of the countrywide protests. Tourism is one of Kenya's biggest economic sectors, accounting for about 10% of GDP and employing more than 1.5 million people. The World Travel and Tourism Council estimates that Kenya's tourism industry could lose revenue of up to 1.6 billion due to ongoing protests. The protests could have a significant impact on self-managed sectors that account for approximately 83% of all jobs in the country, which means the ongoing mayhem in the country would have a significant impact on country's economy, especially in sectors such as tourism, agriculture, and manufacturing. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
All right, President William Ruto has continued with his development tours in the country, today being Isiolo's county's turn. Beside issuing 1,000 title deeds, Ruto commissioned road projects in Isiolo town. Then President promised to improve Isiolo County in accordance with the Vision 2030, promising to solve water problem by building a dam and boost livestock trade. Earlier, Ruto attended the 39th annual general meeting of the Board of Directors, Commerce and Development Bank in Nairobi, as Jacob Okello now reports.
Today,
Isiolo County hosted President Ruto, where he launched different projects. In addition to commissioning road projects in Isiolo town, Ruto led the issuance of 1,000 title deeds to locals. To curb hunger in the country, the president promised to invest in the agricultural sector, saying he has set aside funds to buy fertilizers for the benefit of farmers.
Tunataka tupange mambo ya kilimo ili tuondoe aibu ya njaa. Na tumeweka pesa kwa mambo ya fertilizer. Mwaka huu tutaongeza pesa ya kusaidia credit wakulima wetu. Tuzalishe chakula ndio tuondoe aibu ya njaa katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Besides promising to improve the local hospital by installing modern equipment, the president promised to complete the construction of the Isiolo market to uplift livestock business. He further promised construction of a water dam to benefit locals and animals and give more title deeds to residents before the year ends.
Nataka niwaambie watu wa Isiolo nitarudi hapa Disemba na title zenu 7,000 ya Isiolo town, ili tufungue Isiolo town iweze kuendelea mbele kama city vile tulipanga kwa Vision 2030.
Earlier today, Ruto was in Nairobi County where he attended the 39th Trade Development Bank Board of Directors annual general meeting. Ruto encouraged investors to invest in the African continent to break out underdevelopment and poverty cycle, further encouraging the continent to liberate itself from financial institutions that have burdened it with debts. Jacob Okello, KUTV.
Now moving on, the Court of Appeal has declined to issue interim orders instructing High Court ruling which suspended Finance Act 2023. Appellate Judge Justice Mohammed Wassam, Kadhurima Minoti and Helen Omondi instead directed that the court will deliver ruling on Friday, July 28th. The government, through former Attorney General Githu Muigai, had launched an appeal seeking to have conservatory orders by Judge Mugure Thande barring the implementation of the Finance Act 2023 lifted even as the Act pens determination of its legality by the extended bench appointed by Chief Justice Martha Koome. Judge Thande on June 30th suspended the implementation of Finance Act until determination of Okiya Mtata's case. Well, the Embu Agricultural Show of Kenya opened its doors to the public today at Njukiri Showgrounds after 2 years hiatus occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic. The show aims at promoting climate-smart agriculture and trade initiative for the sustainable economic development. Take a look.
The Agriculture Show of Kenya ESK is back in Njukiri Showgrounds at Embu County after a 2-year break that is said to have been occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, aiming at promoting climate-smart agriculture and trade initiatives for sustainable economic development.
Tumekaa kwa muda wa miaka 2 kama tujakuwa na maonyesho ya kilimo katika Embu, na kwa hivyo ni kama tuna bounce back kwa maonyesho ya kilimo, na kwa hivyo tunajua ya kwamba hiyo imeweza kutuadhiri kwa one way or another.
John Mukundi, County ASK chairman during the first day of the Agriculture Show, says the 3-day show attracted various sectors showcasing their products and services. Mukundi added that it was a good forum for producers and other players in the agricultural industry to interact on the latest production scales and emerging trends that will assist farmers increase production and incomes.
Show ni kitu ya maana sana kwa sababu watu wengi sana unja na wanajifundisha mambo mengi sana. Pia show huwa ya maana sababu ina provide networking kwa watu ambao wanakuanga wakitaka kuuza vitu vyao.
Kenya Tea Development Agency KTDA Zone 5 Quality Assurance Manager Obedo Onduso cited that they are in the process of introducing value-added products. The agency projects officer Lucy Shege called on farmers to embrace diversification to increase source of income.
Already tunaleta product kama zile value added product. Tuko na chai ambayo ni blended, tumeweka kwa tunauzia wakulima. Tuko na mitambo mpya ya kisasa ya kutengeneza orthodox teas.
We are encouraging them to, apart from relying on tea, diversify to other sources of income so that they can have more money and they can also have other things to do, because as you realize, they are only in tea between maybe for a few hours or for some few days in a week, but they also have other activities that they can do to make themselves sustainable.
This comes at a time when the government is working towards boosting agriculture, especially on coffee and tea sectors, to curb the effects of climate change and ensure food security in the country. Dorothy Musyoka, KU TV.
Now let's cross borders. Nigeria's weak electric grid had led many of its citizens to rely on gasoline-fueled generators for power. But the president's controversial removal of the costly fuel subsidy in May saw gasoline price triple, spurring Nigerians to switch to generators fueled by cheaper and cleaner propane. Gibson Emeka reports from Abuja, Nigeria.
Rashid Ayodeji, a lawyer in Abuja, is one of more than 10,000 Nigerians who have switched to generator powered by liquefied petroleum gas. The switch to LPG, also known as propel, is in response to the cost of gasoline, which have tripled since authority ended fuel subsidy in May. Ayodeji says that powering his generator with cooking gas is less expensive.
I was skeptical at first, so I was saying, let me just give it a try, because at least I'm someone that's not resistant to change. Even with my experience so far with this 1 week, my fuel expenses has been cut by 50% for now, and with the gas I still have left, I'm very sure it's still cut up to 60%.
In 2013, Philip Obim started importing hybrid carburetor that convert gasoline generator to run on LPG. For years, demand was low. A decade later, however, his sales reached a new peak. He says that following the fuel subsidy removal, he sold more than 10,000 units in less than 3 weeks.
The product is selling like wildfire. That is because of the cost of petrol, which has moved from 190 or 180 to 550 or 540 per liter across Nigeria. You call them hybrid in the sense that they allow you to run either on petrol or on cooking gas, LPG.
Obim says the switch is easier and simple to make.
Essentially, you have to pull out the existing carburetor from a generator and install the hybrid carburetor. Then you plug in a gas cylinder with a regulator, of course, and then the power of your generator. It's as simple as that.
Some people are concerned about the safety of using cooking gas in generators that were originally designed to work with gasoline. Obim says there has never been a single incident with the carburetor over the past decade.
We've not had a single case of explosion arising from someone using our hybrid carburetor to run generators.
However, Chus Edison, an Abuja-based electrical expert and generator repairman, recommend that people exercise caution during installation.
If you must go into it, you must apply, as in you must be very, very careful. Put so much measure in place. Make sure that your generator is in good condition, that it doesn't have to have a kind of leakages, or the plug head must be there. That is the most important one. You must keep your cylinder very far from the generator.
Authorities from Lagos State are also assessing the safety of the product. Gibson Emeka for VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Well, now that the Sweden's ascension into NATO appear closer to approval following the development during the NATO summit last week, many wonder what power Sweden's military can bring to the alliance. VOA's Pentagon correspondent Carla Rabb explains more about Sweden's military mighty beneath the surface of the Baltic Sea.
A symbol of both stealth and strength. Swedish submarines patrol the Baltic Sea waters critical to Russia and NATO.
The Baltic Sea can be easily described with what we call the 5 Cs: confined, confused, contested, congested, and cluttered.
The waters are rocky and with an average depth of about 60 meters, too shallow for the submarines that make up most of Russia's fleet and all of the U.S. Navy's fleet.
The U.S. submarines, we tend to have deep water submarines, large, nuclear-powered, very quiet, and often carrying nuclear weapons. And what the Swedes have is something that's more tailored to their own geographic location. The vessels themselves are smaller and suitable for shallower waters, but also the Swedish submariners know these waters.
Swedish submarines have roamed the Baltic for more than 100 years, and the Swedes are more active underwater than any of their Nordic neighbors. Sweden's 3 advanced Gotland-class submarines will be joined before the turn of the decade by its 2 next-generation A-26 submarines, which some say are among the most advanced conventional subs ever built.
So I would say that with 5 submarines, you could easily constrain the movements of your opponent.
That opponent? Russia. Once Sweden officially joins NATO, the only way to reach St. Petersburg, Russia's second largest city, by sea, will be through the fairly narrow waters controlled by the alliance.
So it really creates a choke point for access to St. Petersburg, which is strategically very, very important.
And Sweden says its newest subs will have design features even better suited to protect pipelines and other critical seabed infrastructure, an issue highlighted when the Nord Stream gas pipelines were damaged last year. Carla Babb, VOA News.
Right, still international news. Russia on July 20th strike Ukraine city of Odessa for 3rd day in a row. Regional officials said an administrative building, a kindergarten and a nursery were damaged. Residential buildings were damaged with people wounded. VOA's correspondent Katarina Bankova captured the consequences. Among the most vocal critics of the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Estonia this year declared Moscow a state of sponsor of terrorism and expelled the Russian ambassador. Now, the threat of Russian aggression is prompting Estonia to revisit its Soviet history and teach young people about the dangers of totalitarianism. Marcus Hatton narrate these reports from Ricardo Maquina in the Estonian's capital, Tallinn.
Heikki Ahonen walks the corridors of the Patarei prison, where thousands of political dissidents were held during Estonia's Soviet years. He spent almost 5 years of his life there, accused of anti-communist agitation. Now a museum depicting the abuses of the Soviet regime, Patarei welcomes visitors with a sign that says, "Communism is a prison." Its aim is to warn new generations about life under a totalitarian regime. For Ahonen, the memory is still fresh.
The blood and fear. Soviet system was just humiliating.
The generation that lived through communist repression does not want this past to be forgotten, especially now with Russia's invasion of Ukraine reviving that threat. For Milis Maripu, a historian behind the Victims of Communism Memorial in Tallinn, the behavior of present-day Russia is similar to that of its totalitarian past.
Today's Russia are taking different parts from his history, from Russian Empire period, from Soviet period, to build up a new picture, and through this new picture to find an excuse to dictate his wishes to his neighbors.
While some Estonians consider the Soviet past a time of temporary occupation that should be treated separately from the nation's history, others say it should not be ignored.
It is tricky because this period is quite close to us, and in some ways it is very different, and in some ways it is quite similar too. We need to tackle it as our own past as well. It doesn't help us if we only say that it's a foreign past.
Estonia has been one of the most vocal European nations against Russia's invasion of Ukraine, declaring Moscow a state sponsor of terrorism in 2022 and expelling the Russian ambassador the following year. As Estonian leaders see it, if younger people are to understand what is happening in Ukraine, they must learn about Estonia's Soviet past.
It's important that the young generation, whether they are Russian speakers and Estonian speakers in Estonia, can interpret what Russia is doing right now in Ukraine, because the interpretation is important. What does it mean?
Estonia shares a 300-kilometer border and centuries of turbulent history with Russia. With the war in Ukraine still raging, many Estonians fear Moscow may be trying to resuscitate the Soviet past. For Ricardo Marquina in Tallinn, Marcus Harton, VOA News.
All right, we take yet another short break here on KTV Primetime News. When we come back, we'll be diving into sporting news. See you in a bit.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back the iconic days to bring you the Retro Tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za taarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swaibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalunukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Readiness Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosive.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
Kenyatta University will hold its 53rd graduation ceremony on Friday, 21st July 2023 at the main campus along Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The graduation ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV, KU website, Lola app, and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786-335-111 or visit the KU website on www.ku.ac.ke. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
Right, welcome back, and now it's time for sporty action. Nairobi Golf Club will play host to 9th leg of the ongoing 2023 NCBA Golf as the series make its return to Kenya this weekend after a successful 8-leg outing at Uganda Golf Club in Kampala last weekend. Over 200 golfers are expected to grace the 9th leg of the 9th leg of the competition, for a slot in the finals, with winners emerging in the overall gross, men's and women's and junior categories. This year's edition comprises a total of 17 club qualifiers event hosted at prestigious golf clubs in Kenya, Uganda and Rwanda. Now from golf to football. New Zealand registered their first World Cup victory with a historic 1-0 win against Norway in home soil in the opening game of the Women's 2023 World Cup stage on Thursday. Hannah Watson scored the only goal of the match as host nation set history in front of more than 42,000 supporters in Auckland to keep hopes of pushing for the prestigious trophy. New Zealand had not won 15 of their previous matches across the previous World Cup matches, and the owners were on them to end that dreadful nightmare. And so they did it in style. Up next for New Zealand is Pool A is New Zealand, It's Switzerland and Philippines as the team I to qualify for the knockout stages. Right, it's a wrap from us here. My name is AUMA Evans. Samuel Kelo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. We wish you all the best and good night for now.